Liverpool targets £75 million star as confirms Real Madrid's exit stance. According to the latest news, Real Madrid star Fabrizio Valverde is among Liverpool's midfield options. Valverde has had many successes with Real since being promoted to the first team in the summer of 2018. He cost the Spanish club £4.5 million when he joined from Peñarol 2 years ago. Valverde has made 151 appearances for Los Blancos since becoming part of their first team, helping them win 2 La Liga titles and a Champions League. He usually takes charge in the middle of the field. However, Carlo Ancelotti considers the Uruguayan to use the star mostly on the right wing. The Italian coach considered Valverde on the flanks as Real Madrid had a midfield trio made up of Toni Kroos, Casemiro and Luka Modric in the midfield last season. While Valverde, Vinicius Jr. and Karim Benzema remained ahead, they supported the midfield from the flank and relieved the team defensively. But after Casemiro's big money move to Manchester United, Valverde looks set to battle Aurelien Tchouameni for the midfielder role. The news in Spain last month put Valverde on Liverpool's radar. Jürgen Klopp persistently wants Jude Bellingham, but he's not the only plan. Valverde is an alternative name if Bellingham goes elsewhere. Last-minute information was shared from Spanish sources while Liverpool's interest continued. A Premier League team is now considering pushing Liverpool with a £75 million bid for Valverde. Sources have not revealed which English club made the bid, but it is likely one of the Big Six or Newcastle could make it. Real Madrid's response to this offer is its delay. Los Blancos turned down the offer. They see Valverde as untouchable, especially after Casemiro's debut. The 24-year-old has 5 years left to run his contract at the Bernabeu after extending his tenure last summer. For this reason, Real can refuse almost any offer for itself. Real's stance on Federico Valverde will likely upset Liverpool. But with Liverpool's bad start to this season, things are on fire and no one will be surprised if FSG makes an attempt to shake the market. Big penalty from Klopp to the team. Liverpool allegedly cancelled their players' day off in response to their disappointing defeat at Old Trafford. According to information from sources close to the club, the signing ceremony that Pep Legenders was scheduled to attend at Pritchard's bookstore in Crosby and Lingham's bookstore in Wirral has been delayed because the team is said to have been instructed to come to training. The Merseysiders suffered their first league defeat of the 2022-2023 season by losing to the formless Manchester United at Old Trafford, and Jürgen Klopp's team is in 16th place as of the third week. The nature of the results against Fulham and Crystal Palace can be explained to some extent, but the game against Erik ten Hag's men left everyone deeply hurt and a hopeless approach to the future. It's not natural for the club to react to this result, and Klopp may well have handed a penalty that would shock the team. A late push in the transfer market can also be applied if an opportunity arises for Liverpool to genuinely support the squad. Midfield move from Liverpool after defeat. According to reports, Liverpool are considering a move for Leandro Paredes, who plays for Paris Saint-Germain. The midfield is an area where Liverpool should have some serious thought before the transfer window closes. Thiago Alcantara, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Naby Keita are currently treating their injuries. Against Manchester United on Monday, Liverpool kicked off with 2 midfielders, Jordan Henderson and James Milner, in their 30s. Although they are the 2 main leaders of the group, it is certain that they will not be in this team forever. Joining them an acclaimed Harvey Elliott, as well as other youngsters Curtis Jones and Fabio Carvalho, are not without exciting talents. But there is still a lot of room for improvement and Liverpool may not be able to wait that long. With this in mind, Liverpool can take cover in the midfield. Ideally, they need someone in a similar age range to 28-year-old Fabinho with the right balance of experience. Indeed, they are now associated with a potential target of the same age. According to Italian sources, one of the names in question is Leandro Paredes. The Argentine star may leave Paris Saint-Germain shortly. Although his contract continues until 2024, there are suitors for the player. Juventus and Roma from Italy are also interested in the player. However, Liverpool's own plans, which have paired ex-teammates Alisson Becker and Mohamed Salah, may be more attractive to the player. Liverpool are considering closing the midfield gap with Leandro Paredes. Sources claim a move is more likely as Keita is injured. There aren't many details on how much it will cost, but there is a feeling he'll be comfortable playing for Liverpool. Paredes had never experienced the Premier League before. However, throughout his career so far he has played in Argentina, Italy, Russia and France. Paredes has made 117 appearances for PSG but has only scored 3 goals and provided 10 assists since joining in January 2019. Naturally, as a deep playmaker, there will also be the question of how he will compete with Fabinho or whether they can play together. But Liverpool will need to think fast if they sign any midfielder this week. Second, Luis Diaz tactic from Liverpool. Liverpool currently need at least a midfielder as well as another attacker for Jürgen Klopp's squad, and after yesterday's defeat there is some movement at the club. The priority is of course the midfielder, but the club never ignores forward investment transfers. Everyone will quickly remember the transfer of Luis Diaz in January last winter. He was a player admired by the Reds, and after a number of clubs, notably Tottenham, made offers to the player, Michael Edwards and Julian Ward were quickly involved in the signing and made the deal. Now, a new transfer news has emerged and Liverpool may use this tactic for the second time. According to reports, Arsenal see Wolves star Pedro Neto as a forward-looking investment move, and a new opportunity is thought to have arisen for Liverpool. Last summer, Liverpool had contacted the Wolves club, but there was no significant development. Wolves reporter Alex Dickin made important statements about Pedro this week. Pedro Neto was not the player he was before his injury in the last 2 months of last season, but he scored pre-season goals and looks totally in shape. People may have forgotten, but he was the Wolves' best player during the pandemic season. I know that people who have worked very closely with Diogo Jota consider Neto a better player, or definitely a player with higher potential, and from what I can see I agree with that. I think he is a player who went to Liverpool with his pace, elite ball handling ability and effective runs between the defences. It will take much more than his £29 million transfermarkt valuation to get him away from Wolves, but it's clear that Liverpool may need another striker if Roberto Firmino leaves next summer. The Portuguese player will have just turned 23 and his potential could fly in Klopp's hands. However, Arsenal is considering a move this summer, and most European clubs will be after Neto if he stays with the team until next summer and regains his old form. Neto is in the 91st percentile for progressive passes and 94th percentile for shots taken. The players most stylistically alike are cited as Liverpool-linked Bukayo Saka and January's Luis Diaz. Diaz's similarity may indicate that Liverpool no longer need Neto, but Neto can also play in the centre and right wing. His versatility, like Jota, undoubtedly adds depth to the team, but could be a long-term investment transfer for the current frontline trio. Thierry Henry said of Neto, "I love him so much. He always wants to go and attack the defender. It's not easy to do that at such a young age, in a team where you don't have the games and you don't dominate often. I think he performed extremely well. Next summer could be an ideal time as there will be more certainty about how he is recovering from injury and Firmino's future. But if Arsenal make a serious move, the Reds could deploy a second Diaz tactic.